خل القرآن يسدده خلق القرآن ويرشده يسعى في العلم ويؤثره ويثابر فيه ويسنده أولى حق لا يغفله حق المولى فيوحده ينقاد لشرعة خالقه ليس الشهوات تقيده إن سمع أو رأى كثر أضحى لله تعبده لا يتبع مهيع مبتدع يقف الهادي ويقلده والقلب سليم من مرض يحوي القرآن يمجده يتلو ما يتلو من ذكر يتدبره ويردده.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Baba Salam and I welcome you to a new episode in the Juz Amma Practical Tajwid series, brought to you by TVQ.Academy, your borderless school of the Qur'an. In today's episode of the Juz Amma Practical Tajwid series, by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are taking a new surah. After we have taken all these surahs, in between we have also taken some 6 episodes dedicated for the Arabic alphabet. Today we have Surah Al-Tīn at hand. And as usual, by the will of Allah, in Surah Al-Tīn, we will be dividing it into 3 main components. The first is reading the surah. The second will be highlighting some of the commonly made mistakes in reading Surah Al-Tīn. And the last will be discussing a Tajweed topic relevant to Surah Al-Tīn. And today's Tajweed topics will be divided into 2. The first will be rules of al-Mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn. And the second will be articulation of Thā and Dhāl. Now that you are ready, let the excitement begin.
والقلب سليم من مرض يحوي القرآن يمجده يتلو ما يتلو من ذكر يتدبره ويردده.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. Let's read the surah one more time. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين
وإذا الخيرات له سنحت قنص الخيرات تصيده يتواضع لله الأعلى في كل مآل يحمده.
Alright, let's move on to our next component, which is the highlight of some of the commonly made mistakes in reading Surah Al-Tīn. And to begin, we will say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Pertaining to some of the mistakes made in reading Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, we have highlighted them in the episode of Surah Al-Fatiha. You may check the episode of Surah Al-Fatiha out. Wat-Tīn waz-Zaytūn. The first thing to notice is Wat-Tīn is circled here, Wat-Tīn. It is common for some of us when we have to double the sound to emphasize the sound shadda, to emphasize the sound of At-Tīn here. Why? Because it falls under al-Shamsiyya, Wat-Tīn. But we do not say Wat-Tīn. The emphasis does not mean that we stress in applying the characteristics which some of us know as hams. Wat-Tīn, no. Wat-Tīni waz-Zaytūn. Wat-Tīni waz-Zaytūn. So we don't say Wat-Tīn. We apply that characteristic when we have it silent. But now we don't have it, so we just say Wat-Tīni waz-Zaytūn. Alright, and the next will be waz-Zaytūn. Waz-Zaytūn. We pay attention to the fact that Zai here is not Dhal. So we don't say the, and it is easy to pronounce Zai rather than Dhal. So Wat-Tīni waz-Zaytūn. And the next will be Tūn. We need to extend the sound of ta that comes with Dhamma. And when a letter comes with Dhamma and we need to extend its sound, the extension can only be Waw. So we have what was Zaytūn, Tūn. You need to push your lips forward in order to be able to get a clean and clear sound of Dhamma. Tūn. Or else it will be Tūn. Wat-Tīni waz-Zaytūn. Tūn. No. Tūn. Tūn. And this is applicable to all Dhamma. Whether it is Dhamma or it is extended, then you will still have to push your lips forward to get the sound properly pronounced and extended where applicable. So, Wat-Tīni waz-Zaytūn. Or else, if someone does not apply that, you listen carefully, you will hear him saying waz-Zaytūn, tone, something other than waz-Zaytūn, a clean, clear U. Wa-Tūri Sīnīn. Alright, look at this here. We have Wat-Tīni waz-Zaytūn and then Wa-Tūri. Please do not say Wa-Tūri. If you say Wa-Tūri, Tūri, it becomes Ta. Ta and Ta come from the same point of articulation. Ta is flat and light. Ta is heavy and rounded. Ta. So Wa-Tūri. So we say waturi sinin, waturi sinin. Pay attention to that. Sinin, the common mistake some make here is they say sinin. Please pay attention, there is an extension here between the noon and the sin, or rather between the sin and the noon. And the extension is for, we are talking about is for the sin. Si. Although the neen also has extension. So waturi sinin. So do not say waturi sinin. Alright? Waturi sinin. Wahada. Pay attention to the extension here. This little alif you can see here is an extension. It has the same points of extension or the same count of extension as this hada if you stop at the dha. Alright? وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ, and also the dhal, do not say وَهَذَا, وَهَذَا. It is a mistake to say za over here. Over here, just earlier on, when, as we said, do not say وَالزَّيْتُونَ, and make sure you say وَالزَّيْتُونَ. Here we have to say وَهَذَا, and to pronounce dhal, you need to put in more effort than you will put for zai, actually. وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. Al-Amin. Alright, Al-Amin, over here you need to likewise all the ones we have stopped on was Zaytun, Waturi Sinin, and then Al-Amin. It is easy for some of us to stop on Mim instead of stopping on Noon, which we have explained, I believe, in Surah Al-Fatiha. So do not say Al-Amin, Al-Amin. Yes, you can close your mouth, but give it some time before, otherwise it will be an addition of silent meme on top of the silent noon which you stop on. All right, وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. Now you can close your mouth. But if you say al-amin, it becomes, you are adding a little silent meme in addition to the noon. وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. In other words, that same thing is applicable to والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين. And then لقد خلقنا. لقد, we have a qalqala here, pay attention to it, and the qalqala must be flat and not heavy. So we say لقد, we don't say لقد. لقد خلق, the same thing applies here. Here also we have qalqala, and this qalqala also, although qalqala, it is the opposite of the previous one. لقد, here is خلق. We don't say خلق, for instance. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. أحسن, sometimes some of us say أحسني, or a more loose kind of ha. This ha, you need to compress on it in order to be able to get it clean. Otherwise, it will be loose and heavy and big. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه. We have tha, thumma, do not say summa, and then we have mim, an emphasized mim. We need to press on it longer. Thumma, 2 counts or 2 points of time. ثم رددناه أسفل. ردد, we have dal, a silent dal, like we mentioned earlier. لقد, here we have ردد. ثم رددناه, and also pay attention to the extension. Do not say ثم رددناه, nahu. ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين. Don't say أسفل سافلين. أسفل سافلين. إلا الذين. Now we have الذين. Do not say الذين. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. غير. Here we are reading in Riwayah Hafs عن طريق الشاطبية. So please do not say غير. For instance, غير, ro. غير, the ro, yes, it is dhamma. You need to push your lips forward to get the dhamma. Yes, but it has to be heavy. Do not say غير. Must say غير, ro, because the ro here is dhamma. We have taken a few revisions of the rules of ra, or on the rules of ra. فَلَهُمْ أَجْرٌ غَيْرُ. make sure that when you apply the silent sound of the ya, you give the part of the lean in it. غير, all right? غير ممنون, mamnoon. You have a silent meme that comes after the active meme, mamnoon. You have to close your lips and open before you get the silent meme. Mamnoon. Don't say manoon or maunu, mamnoon. And the noon, extended noon, which we are stopping at the end of the extension, we have to push our lips forward. Mamnoon. Smile. Or else it will be a little meme at the end, which we have been trying to avoid from the beginning. Mamnoon. Or else it becomes mamnoon, which you don't want to do. فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ. I can't emphasize more on the importance of getting the dhal appropriately or properly pronounced. فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ بَعْدُ بِالدِّينِ. Bid-deen. All right, the beginning of the surah says wattini, tini, and then here we have bid-dini. If you are not careful, or if one is not careful, he may say bid-tini, which is wrong. Bid-dini. فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ بَعْدُ بِالدِّينِ أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِأَحْكَمِ. We just mentioned about ahsan. Here we have ahkami. Compress the point of articulation of the ha to get it clearer and cleaner. بِأَحْكَمِ الْحَاكِمِينَ. And with that, we have come to the end of highlighting some of the commonly made mistakes in reading Surah Al-Tīn.
أجمل بوفاء شيده وعفاف قل مشيده لا يخطو نحو مذممة شلت عن إجرام يده.
Moving on to the next, let's take the rules of al-mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn. And al-mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn is one of the 9 or 10 types of al-mudud. And al-mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn comes only when we intend to stop during our reading, either at the end of a word, at the end of a verse, or at the end of our entire reading. We may need to apply mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn, because just for the sake of stopping doesn't mean that you apply mad al-Ārid or even mad. You only apply mad when mad is applicable, and you apply mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn when al-mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn is applicable. So al-mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn comes when we stop on a word that ends with any of the letters of mad, and we have 3 letters of mad, and 3 letters of mad means the 3 letters of extension. If you remember them, they are alif, a silent alif. Alif is always silent. An alif that comes after an active letter with fatha, and then a silent waw that comes after an active letter with dhamma, or a silent ya that comes after an active letter with kasra. So a silent waw, a silent ya becomes extension letter when the letters that come before them are active with the sound of dhamma for waw, or with the sound of kasra for ya. So a silent letter and an active letter, you stop on them. When you stop on them, you have mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn. Since we can't apply activeness when we stop on a letter, we apply sukun, silence, to it. It is called al-Ārid li al-Sukūn, coincidental for the sukun, because of the sukun we apply on the letter we stop on. Al-mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn falls under the category of al-mad al-far'i or al-mudud al-far'iyya. When reciting it, you have 3 options to apply. You can apply 2 points or 2 counts. You can apply 4 points or 4 counts, or you can apply 6 points or 6 counts. And we said 2 points is estimated to be a second long. Therefore, 4 points will be 2 seconds long, and 6 points will be 3 seconds long. Now, examples will be when you want to stop in Surah Al-Kafirun. This is where we have actually learned al-mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. In fact, before that, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. If we link this with this, we say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim qul, and this becomes what? Al-mad al-tabi'i. But if we stop Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, it becomes mad al-Ārid li al-Sukūn. You have the silent letter here, or letter of extension here, and then you have an active letter on which you decide to stop. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. So you have the letter of extension here, and this comes after the active letter of Dhamma. So therefore it becomes extension, and you have an active letter on which you want to stop. Because you are stopping on it, it now becomes what? A silent letter. Therefore you say al-kafirun, al-kafirun, or al-kafirun, up to 3 seconds or 6 counts or 6 points. But you cannot say al-kafiruna, all right? Unless you want to link قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا, all right? And then لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ. The same thing applies. You have mad al-Ārid al-Sukūn and وَلِيَدِينَ. You also have mad al-Ārid al-Sukūn here. Only when you are stopping. And we will come to these examples and related ones in Surah Al-Tīn later on, insha'Allah ta'ala. And now we have articulation of Thā and Dhāl. When we say articulation, we are talking about makharij al-huruf, points of articulation of the Arabic alphabet. We have learned the Arabic alphabet. In other words, we have dedicated 6 episodes as part of the Juz Amma Practical Tajweed series to the Arabic alphabet, which you can refer to in this series. So today we have the points of articulation of Thā and Dhāl, and to move there, we will say we have Thā over here and Dhāl. In order to know the point of articulation of any letter in the Arabic alphabet, you apply silence to it and put any active letter before it. It can be any letter with any sound, a or e or u or na or ni or nu, or even the same letter itself, Thā or thi or thu. But because we want to identify where this letter is articulated from, we give it silence, and usually people will put hamza regardless of the sound you apply to the hamza. It can be a, e, u. So we say ath. So we cannot just say atha and decide or determine or be able to determine the point of its articulation, in fact, as well as its characteristics, which we will come on later on, inshallah ta'ala. So we say ath. So when we say ath and when we stop, ath, ath, we know the point of articulation, and we are able to make sense of some of the characteristics of the letter. But here we have Thā is articulated by putting pressure on the edge of the 2 upper incisor teeth. All right, but you have to engage the tip of your tongue. Engage the tip of your tongue and put pressure on the edge of the upper incisor teeth. You look at here. Ath, ath. Because this effort is needed, when some of us don't put in that effort, they pronounce as, and when you pronounce sa, this one will pull back to pronounce sin instead of tha. The same thing applies to dhal itself. Dhal, if you say adh or idh or udh, dhal is articulated by putting pressure on the midsection of the 2 upper incisor teeth. You look at the dhal, they come from the same point, but for the dhal, you have to push this one to touch this one instead of pushing it out to make it touch more the midsection of this upper incisor. Adh, adh, adh. All right. So we have ath and adh. Pay attention and let's go back to Surah Al-Tīn and find out more of these 2 letters. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ. So here we are going to pay attention or identify 2 main rules of tajweed. The first is al-mad al-Ārid al-Sukūn, and the second is anything to do with Thā and Dhāl. Of course, every single word or verse in this has its own tajweed rules, but the most relevant, which we are highlighting here, are mad al-Ārid al-Sukūn as well as the point of articulation of Thā and Dhāl. And to say for the mad al-Ārid al-Sukūn, every single verse here we stop on has mad al-Ārid al-Sukūn. That is already given. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Al-mad al-Ārid al-Sukūn. You can say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. 2 points. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. 4 points. Or Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. 6 points. It's important to notice that when you start with 2 points, you are expected to apply 2 points on every single mad al-arid al-sukun you will come across in your reading, in that particular setting of reading, or unless you change to a new surah or to a new page. When you start with 4, you are expected to apply 4 to all subsequent ones. When you start with 6, you are expected to apply 6 to all subsequent ones. That is one. The other thing is, the moment you link it, it drops and becomes mad tabi'i accordingly. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ. And another thing to notice is when you apply 6 points or 6 counts to your mad al-arid al-sukun, you will find yourself reading slowly and your reading will be much nice and beautiful. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ. This is mad al-arid al-sukun. وَطُورِ سِينِينَ. This is mad al-arid al-sukun. Over here we say sinin because it is sin and not fi, not tha. وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. We have dhal. Pay attention. You must engage the tip of your tongue with the tip of your 2 incisor, upper incisor, or else it will be zai, zai. And zai and sin and sad all together come from the same point of articulation, which is different from where this is articulated from. وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. مد عارض للسكون. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. We have مد عارض للسكون here. ثم we have ثا. Don't say سا. ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين. مد عارض للسكون. إلا الذين ذي مد الذال. Pay attention to where it comes from. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. Here we stopped in our reading. You can link it if you want. So when we stop, we apply mad al-arid lis-sukun. We have it fulfills the rules and the criteria for mad al-arid lis-sukun. So what we have here is an extension letter, and this is the extension because it comes after an active letter with the sound of fatha. Ha. And then we are stopping on this active letter, t, so it becomes t. Therefore we say as-salihat illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat. If we link it, it drops, and the whole mad arid al-sukun idea also drops, so it becomes mad tabi'i. Wa amilu salihati falahum. You see? فلهم أجر غير ممنون. مد عارض للسكون. فما يكذبك. Pay attention, this one is dhal, and emphasize dhal some more, unlike الذين, which is not emphasized, but this is emphasized. فما يكذبك بعد بالدين. Look at this. We said when you stop, sometimes you may need to apply mad arid al-sukun, but just because you stop doesn't mean that mad arid al-sukun is applicable. فما يكذبك, there's no mad arid there. بعد, there's no mad arid there. Different rules will apply as and what is written in the book. All right? بعد بالدين. مد عارض للسكون. أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. مد عارض للسكون. And here is mad tabi'i, and here is mad al-arid للسكون. All right? With that, we have come to the end of highlight some of relevant tajweed topics which pertain to Surah Al-Tīn. Today we took al-mad al-arid lis-sukun as well as the point of articulation of Thā and Dhāl, and we have now started highlighting points of articulation of the Arabic alphabet. This is another reading to reinforce everything we have studied so far. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. With that, we have come to the end of today's episode of the Juz Amma Practical Tajwid series, brought to you by TVQ.Academy, your borderless school of the Qur'an. Until we meet in the next, I leave you in Allah's protection. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
هذا الوهاب سيكرمه وبرحمته يتغمده ويذيع الله له ذكرا وإلى الآباد يخلده. هذا مني وأنا منه وفضائله ستسوده. طابت في الدنيا عيشته وعوالي الجنة موعده. طابت في الدنيا عيشته وعوالي الجنة موعده.